Door. Yes, sorry.
Oh, is it working? Yeah.
The what? Yeah, we just. Okay, can we get the AB, please? Good. Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to BsidesLV Vegas. This is Proving Ground. This talk, I'm a hunter, but what does that mean? Given by Yes. Yes. And a few announcements before we begin. We would like to thank our sponsors, especially our inner circle sponsor, Critical Stack and Valley Mail, and our solo sponsor, Amazon, BlackBerry, and Silence. It is their support, along with our sponsors, donors, and volunteers, that make this event possible. These talks are being streamed live, and as a courtesy to our speaker and audience, we ask that you check and make sure your cell phones are set to silent. If you have any questions, we will be taking questions outside by the chill area. Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Yaz. I'm a threat hunter. Thank you for coming to my talk today. Small disclaimer, I might accidentally slip up and use the term guys. I mean it as a gender-neutral term and not to be offensive to anybody. I'm really nervous. I have a disability. It's triggered by stress. So hopefully we all walk out alive. Yeah. That was my TED Talk. Thank you for coming. Y'all did great. Let's go get some drinks. No, just kidding. Let's move on to why y'all are here. Y'all are here to walk away with a better understanding of threat hunters and threat hunting, which includes common types of hunters, what a threat hunter might add to incident response and prevention, skills us hunters might have, and how they might help, common tools that we use, a method to our madness, why organizations should care about their threat space, and some helpful learning aids. So first, a little bit about me. I started tinkering with web page vulnerabilities when I was around 17 years old. Nothing major, just changing things in the address bar and changing code on pages that I've published. Nothing too big. I was purposefully infecting my own systems soon after that with spyware. Simple things like catching keystrokes and capturing screens and sending them to my email because I thought it was fun and I didn't have a lot of friends. But unfortunately, I was a real noob. I didn't know what I was doing, and I had no clue that was a real job because, really, who would pay for someone to do this? So I did what most people do, and I joined the military. I was about 19, and I joined as a signals intelligence analyst in about 2003. So yeah, I was one of the bodies. I ended up going into, that is signals intelligence in the National Guard. Then I went active duty in 2005 and did my time in 2018 in the Army Reserves. Sorry. Eventually I ended up at Department of Energy as their senior reverse engineer. And while I was there, I had a great team lead who would continuously push my technical skills and every chance that he had. Oh, and then soon after that, I went to Silence, and I continued to grow, and now I'm at Fidelis as their e-crimes senior threat researcher. Yay! So as you can see, my career and basically my adult life grew up in the shadows of digital conversations. I live for hunting. This is my jam. I can talk forever. Discovery of the unknown while staying unknown. I learned weaknesses in my targets and how to exploit them. I was trained to become an expert in the area I was assigned. Sometimes I unfortunately knew my targets better than my family. A target is a target, and I had better have my facts straight. People's lives were dependent on my ability to put that puzzle together. A network is a network, human or digitals. In the shadows, they're one and the same. So now I'm just going to give y'all some examples of my work life, from tracking Man 1 and getting into their use of Hassator, to tracking targets who are bad with OPSEC, having too much information, and finding possible new actors. But first, we go to the macros. Something people tend to notice about me is that I'll sometimes get way too into macros, and Man 1 was no exception. I had a lot of fun taking apart their macro and their use of Hansator. Hansator is a downloader and it aims to put secondary malware on the system. I would start by looking at API calls just to get an idea of where the good stuff might be hiding. And you can see on this macro that it's going to check what operating system we are on. You can also see that it'll be freeing up some space, possibly to move code around, via kernel 32 virtual alloc. I would locate this API call and put a breakpoint on there, and then we could see that I was using XOR to hide the payload, and it was hollowing out some space and running Explorer exe just before injecting into it. There is also a specific string that was used, POLA. It was used as a marker to indicate where the unencoded code was in the binary right before it was going to be injected into the running Explorer exe. I loved this macro. It was one of my favorites. And those little Easter eggs like that you would find in the code, those little strings and markers, would just continue my passion to want to dig deeper and see what else this macro had to hide. And while I would love to take you deeper, that's not why we came, and we have a limited time. So this is some bonus material. Yay, bonus scenes. We all love them. This first example is going to be an overview of a hunt I was on, and it started when I was checking low-level alerts for false positives, and I stumbled upon something odd. It was this weird GET request. And I was wondering, are they scanning us? Are they trying to own us? Do they think they're going to get somewhere? Like, what's really going on? So I looked up the information in our PCAP system, and I saw this post. And these people were noobs. They weren't waiting for any type of response from our network. They just kept going, kept uploading, and soon they were uploading backdoors. Yeah, it was great, but it was a failed mission from the start. They were trying to exploit a vulnerability that allows for arbitrary file upload and remote code execution. But we weren't vulnerable, so they were just wasting their time and giving us their files. And we laughed at them. This next example is CoinHive. I was again looking through low-level alerts. This was kind of a morning ritual I had. I would come into work, go through these alerts that happened in the last 24 hours to make sure that we weren't missing anything that we should be looking into. And I noticed something odd this day as well. I noticed an alert for a possible crypto miner infection. But when I checked the traffic, it was just CoinHive. It was there. This wasn't an infection. It was just evidence of crypto hijacking. The crypto mining code was placed on a website. The user clicked on the site, and he was unknowingly mining for codes while visiting this site. So when he clicked off, it was done, it was over. So there was nothing I could do. It was just annoying. Luckily, I did some research, and it looks like CoinHive is no longer a service, so y'all shouldn't be seeing it anymore. All right, let's get on to OPSEC fails. Like the way analysts track North Korea, aka Hidden Cobra. This is just a small chart I put together during my during my analysis period. So Hidden Cobra is known for not changing the code they use. They are known for using Google Drive. They are known for leaving their files in Google Drive, for leaving victim files in Google Drive, for leaving their own files in Google Drive, leaving the password and credentials to the Google Drive in malware they're sending out to victims so that when researchers get it, we now have credentials to their Google Drive. Yeah, it's great. So sometimes if you're monitoring your network, you might also see the Red Star operating system pinging your network, and you're like, who's this scanning us? It's Hidden Cobra, because they don't hide who they are, and if you look up Red Star, you'll see it's their operating system. Fun times. So in this field, it's easy to get way too much information, and we all don't have the time to do everything. This is just an example of an information stealer I didn't recognize right away. So I took all the information that I had, I put it on a SharePoint that I created for my old team, and I was hoping that somebody would be able to get back to it later to possibly identify it. So we're going to get into talking about hunters now, and this is just going to be big overview from lessons learned and experiences. The first type of hunters are those who hunt on endpoint management systems. and large data collection systems. They typically sit in IR teams in SOCs. They are looking for things that might have been missed. They are looking for known IOCs. They are looking for patterns that might indicate a possible intrusion or infection. And sometimes they might just be looking for things they recently have read or heard about to see if their organization is affected. These hunters might also use that data to create signatures to help beef up their organization's security. The next type is a threat hunter, a threat researcher. These researchers are less likely to sit on IR teams and more likely to sit in cybersecurity companies, government agencies, and of course the military. These type of researchers might be assigned an area of operation or a threat space, or they might be researching on their interest or organizational needs. Both of these researchers are hunting threats based and gathered on open source intelligence, and some or both might have client data to work with or big data as well. They are both most likely tracking malware evolution, APT, TTPs, and new CVEs so they can try to stay one step ahead. And of course, we know that even a little vulnerability can be a dangerous thing. At least he pushed the right button. Hunters know their enemy's weaknesses. Their knowledge of their threat space gives them the upper hand. So why is this an important field? Imagine you're planning to go to war, and instead of using all the data that you have and all the intelligence, you just start chucking people at it. Well, this didn't work well for the mother of dragons. Even though she had the intelligence she needed, she didn't use it. Yeah. They did nothing to stop the White Walkers. It was one person who understood the enemy's weakness that took down that threat. It was Arya. She essentially killed the chain of attack. She was a skilled hunter who knew her threat space. When dealing with many threats of all shapes and sizes, there's no magic button or software that's going to fix it all. And being reactive instead of proactive can cost time and money. All right, so you might be wondering, well, what does a hunter do in IR and how do they help in IR and prevention? Well, the hunter is proactive. They're aiming to understand their threat space so well that they can stay one step ahead. They are the breaker of chains. Having someone who knows the changes in malicious campaigns, the newest ransomwares, how intrusion chain of attack works and how it looks like, what the malware chain of attack looks like and how it works, being able to create signatures, and is able to look for undiscovered threats on your network will no doubt help move you from reactive to proactive. All right, so now we're getting a better idea of threat intelligence and hunters. Let's talk about some skills that we might have. And this section again is put together from experiences and lessons learned. It's not meant to be the be-all, end-all list. With that said, I think above all, the top skill that an analyst can have is the ability to continue to learn. Threats are ever changing, and so the analyst must be on the lookout for that. Technologies, tactics, and techniques and procedures, they change too, and so must the analyst. We're going to start with malware analysis because it's the most basic one that these analysts should have. They need to understand how things behave both on the system and on the network. And while they might not be code deep or assembly deep, they can still gain a great amount of information about their threats. They don't have to be an expert to be doing malware analysis. This is sometimes where analysts might step into the cyber intelligence field or reverse engineering field. There's always a chain of attack, and these malware analysts can start identifying and breaking down that chain. So we're going to move on to reverse engineering because it's another great skill to have in this field, being able to take things apart in order to know how things work, how to protect against them, whether that is by creating more rules or by blocking infection chains, for example, and or how to find similar threats, files, or possible infections. Reverse engineering can also lead to finding little Easter eggs, like the ones I mentioned in the earlier examples, little things that are left behind in code that might help us to uncover common techniques used by these attackers or malware developers. Reverse engineering can also help find IOCs that were not seen in behavior analysis. While not the last skill that an analyst needs to have, but the last skill we're going to cover today, it's understanding the hacker mindset. And there's no better way than actually becoming a hacker, even if for like a day or a minute. CEH courses are a great way to get inside the head of a hacker. The analysts will learn networking on a deeper level, and that can help them hunt in the future for possible intrusion attempts on the network. They will learn more about exploits, vulnerabilities, and the chain of attack. The information they learn from taking CEH courses will make them more prepared to hunt on endpoints, track bad actors, and understand what a threat actor might go through to infect or attack a victim. All right, bear with me, we're getting there. Now I'm going to talk about some tools, some common tools and more basic tools of the trade. I'm just going to list these out for you guys, so just bear with me. Network analysis tools like Wireshark, Network Miner, Threat Miner, and Robotex. Malware analysis tools such as PE Studio, PEID, Norbion, and IDA Pro. Vulnerability analysis tools such as OllyDebug, Nmap, Burp Suite, and Metasploit. Link analysis tools such as Analyst Notebook, Maltego, Palantir, Lucid Charts. Dark web analysis tools such as Tor, Not Evil Search Engine, Digital Shadows, and Tails. And there's like a whole bunch more, but that might make this a training and nobody's here for that one. All right, so now that the analyst has the data, the intelligence, the tools, what now? What's the method? Well, first we need to get a defined area of operation so that our scope is narrowed and not a rabbit hole. And this will let us know what data is important and what data is supplemental. The information that we keep might come from the scope of the assignment. Tickets are a little easier on analysts as everything that they need to know and give back are predefined in the ticket. If you're a hunter and you're hunting based on research, the information that you need to keep might be more involved and organizational dependent. So where or how do they start? Well, some analysts might start in something like link analysis tools such as Analyst Notebook, Maltego, or Visio, and some might start in something like OneNote where they're tabulating out the different data collection types. Similarly, they might use Excel in the same way. Ticket or IR-based hunting, they might use something like Jira. Either way, the analyst needs to have a place where they can put the data and grab the data back out without it being an issue. Oh, sorry. So sharing the information depends on many things. IR, ticket-based hunting, they might only be sharing that data internally, or during an IR response, they might only be sharing it with a client. Researchers might be using that data to publish blogs, or they both might be using it to help create endpoint signatures or YARA signatures to give back out to the community. All right, y'all, if you can tell by now, cyber intelligence and the threats aren't new. The data, the analysts, and the threats have always been here. So why does it seem like this is like the new buzzword and it's brand new? Because no one was listening to us before. Before, sexy things like ransomware and breaches weren't grabbing headlines on outlets beyond Twitter and the small cyber sec space. We were just nerds, no one really cared. So why should a company care about their threat space? Probably for the same reason that you would care about crime rates when you're moving into a new neighborhood. Every one company and organization doesn't have the same type of threat. Department of Energy is no doubt going to have different types of threats than Bank of America. A power company might have attacks more focused on taking down a power system or a grid system, and a hospital might have attacks more focused on locking up everything and demanding a ransomware. Understanding these threats will help an organization create a more tailored approach to their cybersecurity needs. Cyber intelligence helps fill the gaps that antivirus vendors and endpoint systems cannot do alone. Cyber intelligence and the hunters are weapons against past threats and future threats, because we know sometimes old malware likes to come back. All right, we're getting so close now. The next couple of slides are some learning aids for those interested, not sponsored. The first one is a YouTuber I go to, Malware for Hedgehogs. He's great. He has everything from beginner to advanced and doesn't try to talk over your head. So it's a great learning place. Some books that I have nearby for references are Learn Malware Analysis, Practical Packet Analysis, and Red Team Field Manual. Two websites that I frequent are Dieter Stevens. He creates tools and blogs, and sometimes he'll blog about his tools, so you can kind of get a lot in one site. The second is the Women's Society of Cyberjutsu. It's a nonprofit organization whose aim is to empower and help advance women in cybersecurity. And they were there for me when I was getting snubbed by my male counterparts trying to learn more. So they got a special place with me. Still not sponsored, y'all. I'm not going to try to read out these Twitter handles. You don't want me to. The first one is a malware researcher who often tweets about Hidden Cobra and other cool tidbits. Y'all, I was really into Hidden Cobra because they are funny. Y'all should look up all their OPSEC fails. There's a whole speech on them. The second person is also a malware researcher, and she tweets about many topics to include malware. The third person is a well-rounded, kick-ass cyber professional who I followed for a long minute before learning that she was my mentor, and I had one of those fangirl moments like, oh no! The fourth Twitter account tweets about cyber intelligence topics. It's kind of like my place to get news. The fifth person is the cool she-bat that tweets. You'll have to look her up to understand what I mean. And last but not least is the YouTuber that I mentioned. He posts about really good reverse engineering topics. Like, he's a good person to follow, especially if you're new to this. He'll put out great tutorial-like ones. All right, we made it. We did it. Y'all survived. I survived. No one threw up. No one ran away. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.